You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 236 of East Centralia's favorite podcast. I'm Jeremiah Morrell. Today I'm joined by executive producer, video producer, audio engineer Zach Burcham, but he's not the audio guy today. We've got Mason Rottinghaus handling those duties, and my forever co-host Dakota Davis is on my left. Dakota, I think you're at like episode 203 now or something. You're killing it.
Today's episode features us, and we're going to be talking to Mr. Jeff Watterson. Jeff and his great achievement. But before we talk about his great achievement and before you find out what that was, we are going to be talking about the town of Greensburg in Indiana wants to pay you to live there. I guess they're getting that desperate. And then Jeremiah, I guess, at the end of the show is going to fill you in, give you an update on NASCAR, whatever that's about.
Well,
last week.
Last week we had a big thing, and we got to put a big bow tie on that story.
So if you want to hear the update on that, make sure you stick around until the very end of the show.
This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you, other times we'll make you laugh, but hopefully you'll always learn something new. Today you're going to learn how to run through the Wisconsin wilderness and survive. I think that's our promise to you. At least how one man did it. I'm not sure that anybody else in this room, maybe Zach, or maybe Dakota, I don't know. Mason and I would be dead for sure. I know that. We'd be on the DNF list. We just did a very fun 20 minutes of Patreon. We killed off a couple celebrities.
We did.
I had some people that I didn't like. I had an airing of the grievances over some people who thought I was crazy.
You were like, these people are universally hated. And then you gave the first person on your list, and we're all like, why?
No, I guess it was the universally loved, and then the ones that I was like, meh, I'm over this person. So that was fun. I did mean to tell a story. The heat in here is on, and it's fantastic, and it's thanks to the patrons who make the show possible. If you're listening to us later, because we can obviously time shift a podcast, it's the first week of January, and it's like 12 degrees outside. Pipes are freezing all over the place. It's cold. Last night it was about 17, and it was the night I decided I was going to change the thermostat out in here. And it took me like 2 hours. It went okay, but not great. And it got so cold that the smoke detector started going off because I think it was cold and it was alerting me. And I thought, great, the batteries died in the smoke detector. So I'm trying to fix it, trying to fix the thermostat, and then the smoke. It was beeping nonstop all night. So I was like, we're going to come in tomorrow, and the damn smoke detector is going to be going off. And we're trying to do a show. So I tried.
Those people are going to be really mad.
I got a chair and I pulled it out, and I was like, I'm going to unplug it. And it's a commercial building. I'm like, you can't unplug it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, if it's battery, it's not the battery's low. If the damn thing's plugged in, it was a whole thing. So I was like, well, this is going to be Dakota's project tomorrow. But then I came in and it was nice and warm in here, and it's all good.
Cold. So this whole time, I thought you were complaining about the thermostat at your house.
No,
I
it's here.
noticed you were talking about the studio because I'm like, I didn't even hear why is he replacing his furnace at his house? I didn't hear anything was wrong with that. And so then, okay, now I understand why you wanted a smart one for here because you don't want to come. I don't want to come in here, and turn it up. Yeah, okay, I understood that because I was giving you a hard time. I was like, oh, you'll have to go all the way back to 2010 when you just had to turn your thermostat.
That's why I told Dakota, I'm like, it will bankrupt us.
Yeah,
we can't keep it up all the time.
The first year that we were in this building, we did not have a smart thermostat, and the winter was rough. We were having like over $100 electric bills for this place that we used for
a day a week,
3 hours a week. No, it was.
They were really 200 because we were sharing it. It was insane.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It
was in multiple hundreds.
But we made it through thanks to the people at patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty. You can go to bosshogofliberty.com and find the sign up button. Very easy there. You can sign up at any level that you want to, pay us any amount of money per month. I think that Mason Rottinghaus is still on the list for like $1.30 a month. Thanks, Mason.
It's almost like Priceline.com with one of the other celebrities we mentioned, William Shatner. You name your own price.
Yeah, you can, there are suggested tiers, but you can go in and maneuver around yourself and pay whatever you feel comfortable with. You get access to a Facebook group, and you get access to a show that we do before the show every week. You occasionally get gifts in the mail, like the folks just got some lip balm, some custom Boss Hog of Liberty lip balm from the Beehive Body Company here locally in Henry County. But if you sign up at $50 or more a month, then you get a shout out at the front of every episode. And those folks are Miss Christy Avery from all the way in Fort Wayne, our favorite car dealer in the continental United States, Jonathan Phillips, and then the man who's trucking down the highway once again after his truck got fixed, Mr. Anthony Meyer. Also the official meme supplier of Boss Hog of Liberty in the super secret Facebook group.
I was trying to send Chris Galt, BHOL alum and founding father of the We Are Libertarians podcast network, over to John Phillips this week because Chris needs
Yeah, but he never replied. Did
I know, he just ignored me. He needs a new car to sling T-Mobile phones out of. I think his is too old. It graduated from the T-Mobile program.
Yeah, that's 2015.
It's got to be thrown away like a Sprint phone. It's just trash now.
It's old. He can't even find tires in the right size for it.
Yeah.
The worst thing is that he just bought tires for the car, and he just did a bunch of engine work, and then because he's not a forward-looking individual, 2 months later they're like, yeah, you got to get rid of the car. I said, but it is the perfect time to sell a used car.
Yeah, that's true.
It's probably worth more than he paid for it. He'll be okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we talked about $100,000 excursion last week on the show. So
we also have merchandise, and Zach Burcham has put the link to all of that in the show notes, but you can go to bosshogliberty.com and find those links as well. That's T-shirts, long sleeve T-shirts. There's masks there still. There's a collar changing heat activated mug that reveals our logo.
And for those of you north of 40, it's color changing.
And there's also I'm north of 40. And then there's also sweatshirts.
Your dialect is from south of 40, my friend.
I grew up north of 40.
Those years in Dunreath got to you. All right.
Not all of us are from New York, Jeremiah.
The first 10 years of my life were at the 45th parallel, and I learned how to spell colors with a U in the word. Colors. COLOURS.
That's wrong. This is America.
We speak American here.
Speak American.
English? No, we speak American.
We speak American.
All right.
We spell things differently.
So here's the fun little headline that Dakota decided is going to be the top of the show today, because why the hell not?
I wanted to get it out of the way because I'm much more interested in what Jeff has to say than the other things that you wanted to talk about.
We're an old married couple now at this point. Greensburg, Indiana will pay you to move there.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go to the website? Did you see the story?
I did. You shared a link to the Indianapolis Star, but I don't read that liberal garbage. So it was I think even
blocked
by a paywall.
Call time out for a second. The Indy Star actually has a revolt going on inside of its own building where their own staff members are pissed off at them over parking, where I think they were getting ready to all walk out. So they
could have picked a warmer time of year to walk.
Yeah, no joke.
The website makemymove.com, which was founded by a guy named Bill Osterly, who I think helped start Angie List, and he was Mitch Daniels' first campaign manager. So there's a lot of Indiana ties to this. This website, makemymove.com, has communities that will basically participate in giving you different incentives to move to their town. Greensburg is the one local spot. And there's a whole pitch on the website, and you apply. They don't just give it to anybody, but you basically apply to them. You have to relocate to Greensburg within the next 6 to 12 months. You have to have a remote job that you can bring there, or be self-employed outside of Greensburg and be moving there. You have to be at least 18, and obviously you have to be able to work in the U.S., and the town has to approve you or select you. They're going to give you $5,000 cash, Zach.
Must also be white.
Wow. I must not have scrolled down far enough. Jesus.
We don't talk like that north of Q.
Oh, no, there's more Dunreath coming out in the conversation. God. Well, we're done. They will give you co-working space, a YMCA membership, and Playhouse tickets, which I think is their local plays. So it's a $7,000 value in the first year. The average high, the average high temperature is 86 degrees in Greensburg, and the average low is 20. Well, that's below the average right now. And they also have some sort of a grandparents on demand. So if you're moving away from grandma and grandpa, they've got some people that will fill in the program and come to Grandparents' Day and do the grandparent stuff.
Yeah, but
it's babysitting.
The article that I saw said that it was just like one couple. There's one couple that was like,
I don't know if they were being quaint.
Yeah. They probably like made a joke in a town council meeting, and they're like, "All right,
we're going to put that down." Write that down. In Newcastle, it's Mike and Patty Broyles are going to have. When Aaron Dickin listens to this, and he puts this, the city passes $50,000, they can select 10 couples to come to Newcastle. It's Mike and Patty are going to have their whole schedule full, and they're just going to be babysitting the kids that they bring in. So, and they will give you a seat at the table. They say that you can join the community leaders of the organization's table for annual events such as the Hospital Gala, the annual Chamber of Commerce dinner, the United Fund annual Action Day. So you get to be a prominent member of the community immediately. What do you think?
That sounds insane. I mean, it sounds desperate.
Josh Marsh is the new mayor down there. He's Mason's age, I think. He's a very young exennial of sorts.
You know what I don't like about this is that there's 11,000 people in that town, right? So as soon as you move in, you know it's going to be like a big deal, and everyone's going to know. Everyone's going to be like, "Oh, so you guys are you're the ones that moved in here for the grant money and stuff." You're like, "Yeah,
we've invested in you."
Yeah. My taxes went up last year, and they gave you $5,000. They even fixed my sidewalks.
Come on my grass. I'm paying your salary.
Complaints about potholes would come to you. You'd become like the punching bag, probably, for people that want to gripe about being.
They'd be like, "I've been asking for a new trash toter for 3 years."
We're hitting all
and they gave you $5,000.
No idea what their issues are in Greensburg, but we got toters, potholes. I wonder if they're doing storm sewer separation projects down there and have half the town torn up.
Wait, is that the town that's got the tree growing?
The tree going through the courthouse.
Yeah,
yes. Mike Broyles says limit one. He's only willing to look after one, not all 10. Craig DaCosta wants to know what Dakota said about they must also approve you. Yeah, so you submit an application.
Yeah, that was the joke I was making.
Craig can't just move from Hawaii to Greensburg, where the average low is 20 degrees.
A hilarious move. Move there, don't tell anyone, and then just start raising hell at a town council meeting. Where's my $5,000? I want my YMCA membership.
I was promised. They'll give you co-working space. That's probably the best part of it. It's like if you work from home, and this is happening in communities all over the country. It's not just small town Greensburg or whatever.
Where's my kids' grandparents?
Oh shit! Guess what other town's on here? Muncie.
Oh yeah,
$6,000.
Muncie.
Will they give you a condo in the jail?
Muncie will give you $5,000 cash, co-working space at the Innovation Connector, access to the Ball State University Library, and a help desk for connecting local resources. And they offer gigabit internet. And the median home value in Muncie is only $110,000. Where in Greensburg, it was $185,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. I guess I don't see
Greensburg has Honda. Greensburg is, yeah, they have Honda.
Yeah, they have Honda.
They've got some bigger, turn your mic on, Mace. They've got some bigger.
I don't see that much of Greensburg. I pass by a lot. Like,
listen,
drive by 74,
if you
keep going, and then I drive past it, and then I turn left and go around it.
So you haven't been to the A&W? I mean,
no.
$8,200 offer from West Lafayette, or
good.
$7,000 from Greensburg, $6,000 from Muncie.
What did you say, Lafayette?
West Lafayette, 80.
Okay, so here's what. 2 of these towns have colleges.
Bloomington's got $6,600. They'll give you $6,600 to go to
Can't
Bloomington.
they just get some of the people to not move when they graduate?
French Lick. Does French Lick really need that many? I feel like part of the appeal of French Lick is there's not that many people, but it's a good tourist.
It was good enough earlier. Listen, if you move to French Lick, they're going to give you a lifetime membership to the Lost River Market and Deli Grocery Co-op.
4,600
and a free round of golf.
Nice.
I think most people will be like, can I get one trip to the market and a lifetime at the golf course?
4 tickets to Paoli Peaks.
Hey,
that's in the package.
Isn't that the home slopes of an Olympic medalist?
No, that's Lawrenceburg.
I mean, French Lick is a really nice town, though.
Yeah,
it's beautiful there.
How long do you have to be in each community before you can just bounce back and forth? Well, that's been great, French Lick, but I'm moving the team to...
Find out in like 6 years.
We're going to Muncie.
Somebody's managed to collect like $25,000 and they're just hopping from one town to the next.
I feel like that'd get expensive just in the moving process.
Buffalo, New York, which is Jacksonville by the lake, $2,500.
That won't pay your snowplow bill for the year, probably.
Honolulu. Dang.
I bet Hawaii is kind of hard to get people to like move there because you're isolated from. If you have any family, you're isolated.
Man, whenever we went to Hawaii, I immediately, like while I was there, was researching jobs that I could get there.
You were already
in my field. I was like this is like literally paradise. Like there's no other place in the world that's better. There are places that I'm sure that are on the same level, but they don't get better. They just get the same. I was like, whatever I need to do to move here. But then I was like, man. Okay. That would also kind of suck. You're a
5-hour flight from anything.
Yeah.
Here's
no
the
offense.
Honolulu offers $2,500 in incentive, but it would cost you that to move your shit to Hawaii.
Yeah, and
if not more.
And when I was there,
but they say you only have to live. You must work remotely and relocate for at least 30 days. So you could literally get paid $2,500 to go to Hawaii for a month to work remotely for a month. This deal only requires a 30-day stay, but like, who's leaving Hawaii? That's their tagline.
Nah, that's true.
I had an next door neighbor in Newcastle that moved from Hawaii.
If you're there for a month, it would be hard to leave because I was only there for a week. And I was like, I don't want to go.
I was there for 10 days.
It's so nice.
It's between 78 and 82 degrees with low humidity, and the sunsets when we were there were at dinner time, so it was like always a sunset.
And it's like, it rains, but it's like a drizzle. Like it's a short little drizzle, and then a rainbow pops out, and it's beautiful again.
Greene County, Indiana will pay you $5,000. Jasper will give you $5,000.
Nothing for Newcastle, though. I guess we're doing fine. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it's I don't know where are they getting this money from the American Rescue Plan funds or whatever it is. Where's this coming from?
Who knows?
Are they just?
I don't know if they can use it for that. I'm not exactly sure, but I remember they discussed what they could or couldn't use that money for at a recent city council meeting. I don't think that they can just use it for like anything.
All right, here's the big one. The biggest one available is Southwest Michigan. $15,000 package, $10,000 towards a mortgage. They'll make it $15,000 if you go if you enroll a kid in their public schools. So it could be $20,000, I guess. 90 miles from Chicago. Average house is $200,000. You can't be a current Michigan resident. You have to be employed full-time remotely or a company outside of Michigan, for a company outside of Michigan, because they don't want to steal tax dollars from a Michigan company. You have to purchase a home in Benton Harbor, St. Joseph, Royalton Township, yada, yada, yada. So basically just across from Michigan City, Indiana. You have to buy a house that costs at least $200,000. And once moved, you have to be considered you have to get a Michigan driver's license. So I don't know. Does that move the needle? Does $15,000 make you start to think, well,
it's
maybe.
Pretty close to the coast. Like
yeah, it's the Lake Michigan shoreline.
That would be
Benton
so
Harbor,
nice.
Silver Beach.
You know, I looked at a job maintaining a wind farm there a couple years ago. That was paying a lot of money. I really considered it like pretty hard, but you know, it was just I didn't.
You couldn't give up all this.
I couldn't do it. I think Audrey was pregnant at the time whenever that job came up, and so it was like, yeah, can't really do that.
West Lafayette, $5,000 and $2,700 in living expenses, plus a $500 gift.
Like, here's $500.
$575.
It's a gift though. It could be like a gift card or something. To
go buy booze for 20-year-olds.
We'll give you a business where you're just going to buy out alcohol for the underage kids.
All right. I'm ready to talk to Jeff.
All right. I don't know. Is there a town? Is there any of these towns that we're like, yes, we're going? Or we're like,
I mean,
Honolulu.
Henry County's good enough.
Southwest Michigan would be great in the summer. And then when the word lake affects snow, that phrase popped back into the vocabulary in the fall would be a little rough. But
I don't want to say that we live in the perfect place, but Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Kentucky have all had measurable snow. Michigan's had it. Fort Wayne's had it. Central Indiana, we had flurries once. That's it. There's probably snow on the ground in Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Look through your pictures.
It's us.
A lot of snow.
It's us or the Florida Keys. We're neck and neck.
Yeah. So speaking about
that
Wisconsin,
phrase has never ever been said ever.
Right there, just us, side to side.
Indiana and the Florida Keys.
We're just
not even Indiana. East Central Indiana.
Isle of Gorda, whatever the hell it is. What was the town?
Oh, Isle. Yeah, I think it was Isle of Gorda. Yeah,
Isle of Gorda, Florida, or Newcastle, Indiana. One and the same.
Yeah. Cade was asking about the Sinclair dinosaur in Greensburg. It's back.
It's back. Yeah, we've been talking about it for months.
Yeah,
it's just off camera, but we got the Sinclair sign up.
Jeremiah's got
corner.
a thing for gas stations. That's why we have the beaver nuggets and the Sinclair.
I should have brought you something from Quick Trip, but I didn't know.
I like the Quick Trip. I love the Sinclair. I've got a good relationship with Mr. Fuel.
Oh yeah.
The only
free dump station
in the county.
Free dump station, the only one available right now. If you went to Summit Lake and camped there, it's dump station's closed. Moose out front, shut it, told you. All right, Dakota, the baton is yours.
All right, I wanted to talk. I'm super interested in this.
Sweet,
because I just like hearing people's stories about achieving something that's like pretty incredible to do.
Now, this is Jeff Watterson. Did we pronounce the woo?
Yeah, you did. You pronounced the woo. Yeah,
woo. That's how you say that.
That's it right there.
Is that your real middle name?
No. That's a nickname I was given in Talladega. That's another story for another time.
I was wondering that. I was like, do I put that in the show notes?
No, you can't. Yeah, no. There's people that only call me woo, so it's fine. Okay.
But you were in Wisconsin and you did this ultra marathon, and I don't know if I'm going to. How about you just pronounce it?
Tuscobia.
I would pronounce it right. Okay. I've had too many mishaps on the show where I mispronounce things and get made fun of. I didn't want to risk it. So you did the Tuscobia Winter Ultra.
Is it? Excuse me.
Is it near Kaukauna?
I don't know for sure. Be honest with you.
Just going to start showing off my ability to pronounce Wisconsin names.
It's a 80-mile or 160-mile ultra marathon. That's in Wisconsin.
Yes, northern
Wisconsin.
Yes.
Basically Canada.
Yeah.
And it's in, obviously, the middle of the freaking winter.
Right.
So the lakes are frozen.
Yeah. Yes, because I had to cross a lake for the first mile. So
Jesus.
We can get into that whenever. But yes, I had to cross a lake for the first mile of my race. So
what I was most wanting to talk about was like the preparation for all of it.
Right.
Like, because I'm thinking I lift weights. I do like low intensity cardio stuff, but I'm not a runner or anything. I did track in high school, but I pretty well sucked at it. My wife did cross country, but anyway, I want to know, like, do you go into it? Are you thinking about, like, as you're training, are you thinking about how much muscle mass you want to build for this race? How much body fat you want to have because you're going to be burning so many calories? Are you thinking about those things as you're training and preparing?
That's not a big concern of mine. I'm a little guy already, so I wasn't trying to keep weight off by any means, but there was no concern of muscle mass. Basically, I went into it training like I would any other ultra marathon. It's mainly time on your feet. So, with an ultra, you're not balls out running the whole time.
Right. Yeah.
So, I just kind of went in with the same. Like, my longest training run was 5 hours for this one. So, I knew I was going to be 20 to 24 hours running, but my longest training block was 5 hours of running that day. So, and
it was all running, or was there some cycling or some other?
At my event, or
for you,
for me, no, I stuck straight with running. I actually did a running streak for 2021. So I ran every day for at least, I had a couple 1 mile days, but at least 3 miles every day. So I didn't do any real cross training, during that time.
I feel like our own personal Cameron Haynes over here.
Yeah, it was the running streak was a bit different. I literally stopped Sunday. I got done running, and I have not ran since.
I wondered. That was one of the things I almost text Jeff. Was like, is the streak still alive? Because I was like, when I texted him about being on the show, it was like at 9 o'clock. I didn't get a response. I'm like, he's either mad at me or something, or he might just be in bed.
Yeah, I was asleep, actually. I'd been asleep for 2 hours because I ate dinner and sat out on the couch, and the next thing I know, it was like 11 p.m., and I had no idea where I was. And that was on Tuesday evening. So
what Jeremiah mentioned was that for this ultra, you can either run it, you can do like cross-country skiing.
Correct.
Or you can bike it.
Yeah.
And it's all different categories, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I found out that was interesting on their website was that there's always a huge number of people who drop out, or quit before they make it. And obviously we're talking about an ultra marathon, which is like super athleticism. So there's going to be injuries.
This is like things. When you try to sail around the world and it's like, yep, 4 participants died. Yeah. Like, did they all make it home?
Yeah. So that was one of the things, like the race directors put a thing up after and thanked everybody. We had a huge success. We didn't lose anybody and nobody lost a finger. So, that's what the race directors said. We count this year as a success. Nobody lost a digit, and everybody that started, we found them, when we finished.
But there was a point though, like during the day, Jeff's wife was posting updates and she's like, oh yeah, Jeff was done at this point, but it was like a rundown of how the finishing was looking. And at that point, there were like 12 people that they just said were unaccounted for. I've never been in a race before where they said that we have unaccounted for people.
We're still looking for survivors. So.
Anytime you hear the word unaccounted for, there's a tragedy that's taken place, like a building's collapsed, a tornado's come through, or something. It's never you never just randomly have you never hear the Indy 500.
It's the 24 hours of Daytona, and we don't know where we don't know where the 01 Ganassi car is at. It's up and seen in hours.
Unaccounted for to people is never said in a normal event.
Maybe the Dakar Rally.
Maybe that's the closest thing.
Yeah.
At one point, the race director. It was probably midnight, 11 o'clock, and I was with a pack of 2 other people, and the race director was on his snowmobile, and he stopped in front of us and walked up, asked how we were doing. We were all fine. He said, have you guys seen a biker in a ditch on the side of the trail? And we're like, no, we haven't seen him. He was like, all right, I'll keep looking. So, the biker had called the DNF, and they weren't for sure where he was at. Do
you have any sort of a transponder on you?
I kept an inReach on me, but the race does not. So I use a Garmin inReach that kind of keeps track of me. But the race director doesn't. The race doesn't require you to have one. So
yours was mainly like for your wife.
Mainly for my wife and anybody following home.
I was following along. And like every 10 minutes, it would show where he was going. It was like fascinating to see the dots add up, and just kept like you couldn't even quite orient your phone to get it all on the screen at a time. So
how far did they travel? What's the route of this thing?
So it's on the Tuscobia State Trail is actually a snowmobile trail or multi-use trail in the summertime. So I went from roughly Park Falls area to Rice Lake. So basically straight west of Park Falls to Rice Lake, kind of southwest, I guess, would be the way to go. I don't know if you're pulling up on the map.
Yeah, but we're efforting now so that Dakota and I have a clue.
Yeah, so we actually started at Butternut Lake, which is a little bit north of Park Falls, but normally it starts in Park Falls. They had some issues this year. They couldn't start in Park Falls. So we started at Butternut.
This is an hour and a half by car right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. When you actually look at it, it's kind of nuts. And Zach may be able to pull up my my Garmin so you kind of see where it was.
Oh, yeah, I could probably do it. I didn't know if your Garmin was running the whole time.
Dakota, if you drive the Route 8 side, it's 2 hours and 3 minutes by car and 103 miles. But if you take Highway 48, it's only 84 miles and an hour and a half.
That's crazy. And only 47% of the contestants finished the race.
Yeah, basically, I think that's my wife sent it. I should have had it pulled up already, but my wife had it all.
There's like a couple hundred people, right?
Yeah, there was just under 200 people. See if I can find.
So we think of Green Bay as being north. This is north of Green Bay. Yeah, this is actually northeast of Minneapolis by a good little bit.
Yeah, so my wife's got the total race, 167 starters. That's all 3 disciplines, both distances. 89 people DNF'd, 78 people finished, and that's total. So in my race, the 80-mile race on foot, 57 started, 23 DNF, 34 finished. So a 60% finish rate for my race, but you're still talking, 23 people started and didn't finish for whatever reason.
So Zach pulled up your results here, and it shows your tracking and your speed and your pace. You started off really fast, and then it looks like it was an absolute just grind in the second half because it all went blue.
Yeah. So my plan was, and I didn't announce this to many people, but I wanted to go win this race. I really felt like I was in shape, and I thought I could go win this race. So my plan was to start hard and just see who was going to be there. That was my goal, was to pull out anybody that was going to come and race. I didn't want to get at the end of the race and be like, man, I could have went harder in the beginning, waiting. So I didn't really pace myself much at all. I mean, I went.
So your strategy was burn everybody else, and you're being competitive.
Yeah, I wanted to be competitive, and it still worked in my favor to an extent. But the two guys that beat me, I got third place overall. So the two guys that beat me still beat me by 2.5. Winner was 2.5 hours. Second place was 2 hours. We hung together for the first 20 miles. And then I realized, hey, they came to run too. So, everybody's 100%. It's a little bit different, and mine wasn't quite what theirs was. So I kept them in sight for a while. But
were those Canadians?
They were actually, both of them were from Minnesota, so they're both Minnesotians. Yeah. So
this is their normal weather. Too.
Yeah. This is the winner actually trained. Yeah, the winner actually trained on the trail a couple times. So
that's bullshit.
I mean, I'm not making excuses at all.
We haven't seen Snowfly yet.
We haven't seen snow.
You've got Westwood, and they've got the trail.
And not only that, but if people, this race was like this weekend, so it's just a couple days ago. Christmas here. It was 60 degrees.
Right. Yeah.
And then I know Jeff said, I want some snow, because we'll probably get to, he's dragging a sled behind him to help make it easier on him. And when he gets up there, it's like 15 to 20 below zero.
It was negative 21.
Your
in the
lungs
middle of
are
the
not
night.
ready for that yet.
No. And not like, that's not wind chill, ambient. And so like Jeff experienced an 80-degree swing in temperature in like 7 days. And then most of that was in like whatever time it took him to drive up there, because it wasn't that cold when you drove up there from here.
No. I mean, what day did I run in the rain? Wednesday or Thursday of last week?
Yeah.
So it rained.
I mean, it rained all. Let's be honest, it rained all last week,
right.
So it's hard to tell.
So I ran in the rain, 35-degree rain on Wednesday or Thursday, and then went up there and raced Saturday. And race start was -8. Temperature, not wind chill. Temperature was negative.
Ambient air temp.
Yeah.
So what are you wearing?
So at that point, I started the race in. So I had Merino wool 3/4 base layer.
This is the first time in the history of the show that Dakota's asked that question, and it's been appropriate.
Been appropriate every time.
So I had 3/4 length base layer Merino wool. I had some Swix brand cross country ski tights on over that. I then had a Patagonia R1 hoodie, which is like a microgrid fleece hoodie, and then I had a puffy coat over that to start with, which was way too much. But
you want to have it.
I wanted to have it, but on the flip side, I didn't realize that I was going to get as hot as I did.
You had a lot of good layers too.
Yeah, I did, and that was my plan. My plan was to finish in the R1, to start and to finish in that Patagonia hoodie as my base layer. So my mistake was the puffy coat that I had over top of it. I should have had a lightweight wind jacket. I used a Patagonia Houdini lightweight wind jacket, and if I would have started in that, I would have been better off. But I went out so hard that I was sweating by mile 3.
So how do you handle water? If it's negative degrees at night, you need to have fluids,
right.
Obviously. How do you, is that in a cooler and it's staying warm? Are you pulling that? How are you handling the survival side of this?
So I carried a 64 ounce, actually, Walmart brand, double wall insulated, like a Hydro Flask, 64 ounce keg style of water. And then I had 2 Hydro Flask actually in that cooler. There, 2 Hydro Flasks full of water in that. I mainly drank. I never opened the Hydro Flask, the smaller 20 ounce ones. I mainly drank out of the 64 ounce and then refilled it at the halfway mark. Now, the one thing about this race is it's self-sufficient. I mean, really, there's only one aid station, and Zach can attest that most races have multiple aid stations. Most ultra marathons have an aid station every 2 miles. This had one aid station at 35 miles from my race, so from the start of my race.
And it's a trail, so it's not like you're rolling up to the QT and getting yourself a coffee and refilling waters.
Correct. And it's in trail. It's not like Westwood. If you've been out to Westwood, it's a wider trail. So you may want to think
it's like snowmobiles.
Yeah, it's snowmobile. So think the Greenway, but crushed gravel is basically what it is.
Cool.
Now it did start on a lake, which was fun because the race director said, hey, you got these 2 cones here and these 2 cones there. You have to stay in between those because ice fishermen use the outside of that. The bikers will just hump over, but runners may step in a hole. And he said, and don't get too close to the island because the water's not all the way frozen close to the island. So stay where the cones are. And
stay on the ice road.
Yeah, stay on the ice road and you'll be fine, which
That's insane.
flipped my wife out just a little bit. My wife looked at me when he said that in the pre-race and was like, are you serious? And she's like, did you see any spotted water? I was like, no, I stayed right where I was supposed to and headed right across.
How much experience do you have running on ice?
None. Zero. I mean,
the one thing that we don't run on, like Jeff and I run together sometimes. It's been a while because he went off and did this crazy stuff. But the only thing that we would like check in on Saturday morning, he'd be like, no, was ice.
Right.
Now, part of the reason is because we're running on roads. And if you're on ice and you fall on concrete and there's a car coming, then you're going to hurt yourself a couple different ways. So that's a little different than running up. Yeah, we don't we generally stay away from things that like could crack and kill us.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it was just a little different being
Zach's biggest kryptonite at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couple.
But yeah, the snow. There was snow on the ice, so it wasn't necessarily ice, but it was still a little daunting to be on the lake. You know, when I knew that they haven't been that cold here recently either.
I noticed on their website it said that none of the skiers actually finished.
Yeah, the trail was bad for there wasn't enough snow.
That's what I was going to ask about the snow.
Yeah, there really wasn't. They got dumped. So leading up to the race preparation, I was scared there wouldn't be enough snow to pull the sled. So I had actually planned 3 weeks ago what I was going to do if I couldn't pull my sled. You know, what backpack I was going to use, what gear I was going to take, what I could live with and what I couldn't live with on my back. So, because I was afraid they weren't going to have snow. They got dumped on like 10 to 12, 15 inches like in the last week and a half. So it doesn't take long to build up enough snow for us to pull a sled.
Yeah.
But for the skiers, it was just not good snow.
What is your concern? Like you were just talking about your water and stuff. Made me think about like, is there a concern going into the race? Because you said you only trained at the most 5 hours. Mm-hmm. Is there a big concern about like rhabdo?
So explain to me what rhabdo is exactly. So apparently it wasn't a concern.
Would be like rhabdo would be if you like super overwork your muscles. Mm-hmm. If you do like a really hard training, then your body can start breaking down muscle tissue, and basically it breaks it down and you start peeing it out. You'll pee out like looks like Pepsi.
So basically on a training block like that, I said,
I'm glad we had him on here after the race, not before the race.
Right, exactly. I was a little worried that I didn't
scaring him about shit that he didn't even know he had to be afraid of.
So yes, my longest run was 5 hours, but with running, that accumulated to I think it was an 80-mile week total that week. So with running, you kind of build those muscles differently, where you don't go out and run for 22 hours. I ran 5 hours one day and then turned around and ran 2 hours the next day. Gotcha. So you're not really, it's not the same effect. You know
I guess I've never heard of people like runners getting it, but I know it's like, it's kind of common in people who are new to CrossFit and get like, go too hard.
Yeah. And I've heard about it in CrossFit. I just didn't realize, what it was, but
right.
It's not, I worked my body. My training block was 50, 60, 70-mile weeks consistently since. So I did a big race in September. I took a couple down weeks, like 30-mile weeks, and then just built back up from there. So it's not necessarily the one 5-hour run that builds you. It's the 2-hour run,
right?
The day
it's
before.
An overtime building. Like everything,
run.
I guess. Progressively overloading. Yeah,
right.
So how's the community of people? Because I'd imagine that you have to be.
It's amazing.
It's a small club.
Yeah, it really is. So you break down the ultra running community. The running community is huge. So you break that down into trail runner community, which is a big community. Then you break that down in the ultra runners, and then you have winter ultra runners, and it's your family. Everybody there the race director knew me by name when I walked in. It's just amazing, the community.
Are you the only one from Indiana to roll in?
Man, I can't. I looked at the list and I was thinking there was somebody else, but there wasn't anybody that I knew.
The Kenyans don't dominate this.
The Kenyans do not dominate this at all. Yeah, no, and it's just regular.
You're going against hockey guys.
Yeah, you're going against regular. I mean, you're just going against regular people. I mean, my wife and kids were out there. It wasn't. There's not sponsored athletes out there. I mean, this is not the race for that. It's just a good community. The race director, I talked to his wife. They're both the co-race directors, and I said something about it being a race, and she kind of corrected me and said an event, because it's not. It's more about the community. I think it started as hey, let's walk to Park Falls and stop at a couple of the bars on the way and see how fast we can do
Wisconsin
it. Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of how it started. So
that's kind of why I wanted to bring up the failure rate, is because it's like, it doesn't feel like it's so much about the winning. Whenever you're looking at the website and stuff, it's like more about like, wow, you did this incredible thing that there's not going to be very many people to ever say they did it.
Yeah, Jeff sat down and was like, I finished third and you wanted to win. And I'm a huge race fan, right? Motorsports, and it doesn't matter. The competition side of actually like where you placed didn't even occur to me. It's literally just ticking the box of yes, you completed it.
And that was the hardest thing, was with the wanting to win it. It's like you kind of just, you have this feeling of I just want to go complete it. But on the flip side, it's like I do want to be the first person to shoot your shot.
Sport.
Yeah. Like, it's my sport. I've trained really hard to get there. And kudos to the two guys that, first and second place. I ran with those guys for 20 miles, and they're both great guys. They every time we didn't hang together, they'd be like, "Hey, you doing okay? Do you need anything?" Blah blah blah. I mean, we worked together there for 20 miles, and they just pulled ahead. I mean, and there's no ill feelings at all. If I would have beat them, it would have just been the exact same. I mean, no.
So in your class, how many finished?
So I think she said there was 34 finished, is what my wife figured up. So out of 57 start, 20 something like that, 34 finished. So it was just really cool. And I finished right in front of the first place female, and I chased her down for 16 miles. I mean, it was crazy because you can see forever on the trail, and we all have red blinky lights, and I chased her blinky light for 16 miles just to get, just to chase her down. And I felt bad, running past her, but I was like, I've worked hard. I've worked really, really hard.
And the bronze medal was a 12-pack of New Glarus spotted cow.
Yeah. Well, so actually the winner, so I got I should have brought it. In first, second, and third, they get a puck, a wooden puck that says first, second, or third has the race. The winner gets a jar of the race director's dad's honey and some hot sauce. And you get a $50 running gift certificate from a local running store. So I got $15 gift card for no honey, no hot sauce. But I mean, I could have purchased some honey from.
I'm going to be honest. I think that makes you a professional now.
It does. Yes.
You've received compensation,
which I may have made more at the Chris Kringle.
Oh, you probably did.
I think I made more. We have
a very lucrative race here around Christmas, held by the Knights of Pythias organization over in Morrell Park, and yeah. I think that race pays is it $50 in winners?
50 for the winner. So
yeah, and it's like
it's 4 miles in Morrell Park.
Yeah, it's obnoxious for Newcastle. So yeah, it's.
So this wasn't your first ultra?
No, this was not. This is actually not my first time doing this race. I did it 2 years ago.
Okay.
Did it 2 years ago in 30-degree weather and rain. So I finished in 22 hours and 45 minutes last time.
You have to carry a backpack then?
It was snowing. There was enough snow on the ground that I could pull the sled.
Okay.
But it was like mashed potato. I mean, a picture running on sand, but it was snow.
That sucks.
Yeah, it rained for 20 hours at that race.
The video, you were covered in ice.
Yeah.
I did see you were picking ice out of your beard.
Yes. So until I put something on my face, my beard was just completely frozen. And then finally at that point, I was worried that my cheeks and my nose were going to get frostbite. So I put a buff over my cheeks and nose, but still had.
They didn't make you run in a COVID mask?
No. Well, we were supposed to cover up when we went in any building in the aid stations, and it was Wisconsin laws, so they had to abide. But anytime we were inside, we were supposed to cover our face. So my face was covered. I actually walked in one building at the 60-mile mark, and the lady told me to take my mask off, and all I had on was the buff that covered my nose. And then she's like, "Oh, you didn't have a mask. That's your beard." I'm like, "Yes, my beard is frozen. It is completely and totally frozen."
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was crazy. It got in the way a little bit. I finally put a buff on to cover up this part of it. And
so is the 80 mile, is that the longest ultra that you've done?
Yes, actually it is. So I've done this race twice, and 80 is the longest I've done. I've done a couple 50Ks, couple 50 milers. I've adventure raced as well. So my longest actual event was 28 and a half hours total. But that was an adventure race, includes canoeing, orienteering, mountain biking.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and that was 28. It was a 30-hour race. We finished in 28 and a half hours in southern Kentucky. So
what's the supply list look like? You're going to do this. And obviously we talked about the coat and the way you dressed yourself, but what's your list of stuff you need?
So 2 years ago when I did it, they had a mandatory list that was a lot longer than what they had this year. I think they've realized that the seasons have changed a little bit and it's not as cold, and people are moving a lot faster. So 2 years ago, you needed a 0-degree sleeping bag, a cold weather bivvy, an insulated sleeping pad. You had to have some other things. So then this year, all you had to have was blinky lights, three red blinky lights, one for the front, two for the back. You had to have a headlamp, and you had to have extra batteries for everything. That was the only mandatory equipment, except for 10 square inches of reflective on the front and rear. So I went ahead because of the weather. My wife was a little concerned because it was going to be 20 degrees. I went ahead and took my sleeping bag, my 0-degree sleeping bag, and my sleeping bivvy, which a bivvy is basically just a small one-person tent. Basically, it's a survival tent.
It's like it looks like a sarcophagus.
Yeah, basically that's it. So it's basically just for lightweight survival situation.
It breaks the wind for you.
Yeah, basically. And then a sleeping pad as well. So that was in one bag. That's, I feel like, was maybe a little overkill. Maybe I didn't need it. A lot of people, the first place, second place, the Blue guys didn't have theirs. They felt they didn't need it, which is fine. So then I had in a duffel bag, I brought 3 buffs, 3 extra hats, extra gloves. Then I had extra clothes. I had an extra big winter jacket, a ski jacket, an extra pair of ski winter pants that I ended up putting on. I had another rain jacket just in case I needed a layer. And then I had in the food bag, I had lots of different kinds of foods, and not just energy, normal runner stuff. I had ham and cheese, ham and Swiss roll-ups. I had...
you said you had Oreos.
Yeah, I had white chocolate covered Oreos.
Third place, powered by Oreo.
Yeah,
Nabisco, thank you.
Exactly. I had Snickers. I had clementine oranges. I brought some pepperonis for protein and salt. Just a wide variety of stuff. The biggest thing I ate was honey stinger waffles. They seemed to be the easiest to go. They were easy to put in my hip pack.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they didn't freeze. I had some Pop-Tarts.
Pop-Tarts, yeah.
Pop-Tarts. I'm a big Pop-Tart fan. I eat Pop-Tarts every day.
Me too. I freaking love
I love Pop-Tarts. So I had Pop-Tarts. They were a little frozen. I did have the biggest thing. I had Starlight, those little Starlight mints like you get at Los Amigos. I had those shoved in my hip pack. Game changer. I mean, you pop one of those in and it's like a
little burst of energy.
Yeah, it's a whole new world, and your mouth kind of gets funky after 20 hours of being outside anyway. So those were nice. I did get some new big mittens. I bought those just last week. Gore-Tex REI mittens that were game changers on this race for me, because I had some Murano wool liners, and you couldn't take the mittens off for more than 2 minutes or your hands would freeze. So you'd have to shove the mittens back on, and I had hand warmers in the mittens.
And just for people who don't know, the Murano wool is like it's all natural wool, but it does a really good job of like moisture reflection. Would that be the right word? It basically,
wicks it away from you.
Moisture wicking.
And even the good thing about wool, opposite of cotton, when wool gets wet, it
stays warm.
It stays warm. So I dealt with that 2 years ago. I used those same Murano wool gloves, and they were soaked. I could wring them out, but they stayed warm. Right. So that's the good thing about Murano wool, is when it does get wet, it still keeps your body warm.
There's some hunting company that's figured out a synthetic way to do that.
Oh, really?
They're the first people to do it. And forget who was talking about it, but it's outrageously expensive. I looked it up at one point and it was like, why are you asking $1,000 for a pants and jacket?
So did anything go wrong? Did it all go to plan?
So wrong. I don't think I'd use that word, but I would change some things. I don't think anything went major wrong. I did shiver for 2 hours from mile 52 to 60. I mean, so some people would say that went wrong, but at that point I knew I was close to a place that I could stop and put more clothes on, and stopping to put more clothes on was going to make me colder. So, I mean, anytime you stopped, you started getting cold.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to stop, get my pants out, go, put my pants on, go, put my jacket on. You know, I didn't want to take that time. And I knew I was relatively close to the snowmobile headquarters that they had open that we could get into. So from mile 52-ish till mile 60, so a little over 2 hours, I was pretty shivering the whole time. So I, you know, some people would say that was wrong, but I knew what I was doing and I knew I wasn't in danger. I knew I could stop and put clothes on. I just didn't want to take the time. At that point, I was in 4th place and I didn't want to lose any more places.
It wasn't like I lost a glove or, you know, something like that, you know, it was like, oh shit, I needed that.
No, it wasn't nothing. I mean, I lost my sunglasses in the first 2 miles, but I mean, I didn't really need them in the first 2 miles anyway. So, you know, that was it. I didn't lose anything major. My inReach did shut down at one point because it got cold. It was right out in front and top, so the satellite could see it, and it shut down at mile 50-ish or so.
Which probably scared the hell out of everybody that was following.
Well, and that's what was my biggest concern. I actually stopped and took care of that because I heard it. I mean, boop, I heard it, and I'm like, oh crap, and I watched it shut down. So I immediately stopped. Got my cord out, plugged it in, and I struggled getting the lid off the cord. So I had to actually take all my gloves off at that point. So I'm trying to hurry, you know, and because my wife was at the hotel. Yeah. And you got people at home watching. I'm like, I don't want to be shut down in the middle of the night.
And she's checking every hour.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she had alarm. She showed me her alarm that she had once she knew where I was at and knew I was kind of on pace. She set an alarm for every hour. And then when it got closer to the finish, she set it for every half hour and then every 15 minutes so that she could get up and make sure that she could get to me. I know 2 years ago when I stopped at this Bobcat shelter at mile 60, she didn't know I had stopped. So she saw my inReach had stopped for 45 minutes there because I had paused there for a while because I needed a break. So this time, as soon as I got there, I texted her. I said, hey, I'm here. And in my loving wife, she said, get warm. I said, I'm here. I've been shivering. She said, get warm and get moving. So she doesn't give me any slack. She's get warm and get moving. So
my thought, another thing that I was thinking about is I kind of go through my day-to-day life. I'm always a little bit sore. Mm-hmm. Like that's just how I live.
Right.
So my thought was like during the prep for this, you are obviously prepping up. You're saying you have like 8, like these huge mile weeks. Mm-hmm. How sore were you going into the race, or did you taper off your miles?
So I did taper. I mean, you know, my taper still looked like a 45-mile week the week before. I did taper. I'm kind of like you. I stay in a constant state of sore. It's just kind of, I mean, it's just part of how it is. It's just how it is. You stay. I mean, I like that feeling that I know my legs are doing something. Yeah. You know, it's not painful. It's just a constant state of, hey, I know my legs are there. So I went into this and I taper. I hate tapering. So my whole body just flips out when I taper. Everything starts hurting. I feel like I'm going to die. You know, I'm jittery. I hate the week before a race. So I didn't go into it super sore, but more sore than I wanted to be. Wednesday, it's normally like Wednesday before I really feel horrible. And then Thursday, Friday, I start getting better. So I did run 1.25 miles the night before to keep the streak going. I ran out of time to get any more. So I got 1.25 miles the night before. I really went in like race day feeling fairly fresh. Felt like I knew what I was doing, you know, and that was my plan, was to try to win. So I wanted to be ready to go out and do something.
Are you doing like recovery therapeutics leading up to the race? Like, are you doing anything like Theragun, saunas, ice bath, anything like that?
I do. So my big thing is Epsom salt baths. I mean, I've done it leading up to most of my big races, and they're game changers for me. So I come home almost after every run and do a 20-minute Epsom salt bath. I stay in there until I sweat, and then I get out and I shower. And that really seems to help keep my legs fresh.
Yeah, I've done the isolation, the sensory deprivation tanks, probably half a dozen times. Mm-hmm. And that's all magnesium and salt,
right,
and in high density. And it is pretty amazing, how my joints feel,
right,
getting out. It definitely is.
Yeah, so I can go 2 days without one, and I can tell, and it's just like the next day I feel like a new person after an Epsom salt bath. And I know it does. I know it kind of sounds stupid, but it works for me. And I will do my wife's a physical therapist, so I do have some help from her, stretching things out. I'm not a Theragun person. I don't roll out a lot, but, I do keep on top of things if I know there's something not right.
Yeah, I like the rollers.
Yeah.
I have a little, yoga wheel, a 6-inch yoga wheel that I use, especially along my spine.
Right.
Especially heavy deadlift days, I'll go over that thing the next day and it's
right. You feel a big difference. My big thing is my feet. I have a ball I use for my feet because it's just my feet ache a lot.
Maybe like a golf ball size?
Yeah, like a lacrosse ball is the best size, but I have a spiny ball that's made for that, and you just roll the arch of your feet on it, and that really helps me. Yeah, that really helps me.
So what's next? Are there any more of these winter races coming?
Yeah, I don't. So right now I'm kind of in limbo where I don't have anything. I hate the heat. So Badwater 135 is just not on my list. And I hate to even say this on air, but the only way I would do Badwater 135 is just if I were to do the Arrowhead 135, which is another winter ultra. So to say you've done both 135s, that would probably be the only way I could do Badwater, because I just hate heat. Zach knows. In the summertime, I normally shut down. I ran more miles this summer because of my streak, but I'm just June, I'm peace out. I'm done. I don't like running. So I like the winter stuff.
Yeah, I hate doing physical activity in the heat. It's so gross.
Yeah, it is. It's just nasty, and you feel horrible, and you just want to die. We did a marathon in September a couple of years.
Oh my gosh, wanted to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is the worst month for freaking marathon.
Yeah, it was horrible. They had brand new blacktop, and they were proud of it, and they ran us all over brand new blacktop.
They ran us on an airport.
Yeah,
they ran us out by an airport, and it was beautiful Columbus, Indiana, which we saw none of.
Right.
They immediately ran us out of town.
Right.
And then we didn't come back into town till it was 24 miles in, and they ran us onto an airport, and I didn't know where in the airport we were going. I just knew I was running out towards an airfield.
The Elks Club is right there.
And there was an airplane to the right, and I was it was propped. If they fire that thing up, I'll run into the blade. I'll go full Indiana Jones, go right into the blade. And then that race is horrible. Jeff and I have suffered a couple times together.
We have.
Never long distance, marathons.
Never long distance, only a marathon.
Only a marathon.
But that race, there was a stretch coming out of the airport where there was a tree line, and it was on the wrong side of the road. And one of the things, he's talking about, on the lake, I don't doubt he stayed in the lines, because runners, one of the things you do is you run the shortest delta. So you run point to point. You try to take the straightest line. And everybody should have been on the right, because we came from the right. We were going to the right, but there was this much shade on the left side of the road, and everybody
went to the left.
I think Jeff on that race, somebody was spraying people down with hoses, and Jeff's hit me, and they hit his legs, and his legs just cramped up.
Immediately,
just
both calves
dropped to the ground.
Yeah, but I just went straight legged the whole time, and I told the guys just hit me in the back, kind of cool me down, and as soon as he hit me, both calves just cramped up. So I went straight legged, and I'm waddling for a mile. It was horrible.
So yeah.
The last question I have to ask, because the listeners are in the cars wanting to know, 20 some miles of running, bathroom wherever you need it.
Yeah. So, not to get personal, but I didn't have to go number 2. So, but when you're out on the trail, number 1, just kind of wherever you got to go. The race director says, please do not, we have 200 racers. Don't just go in the middle of the trail. Yeah. It's going to fill up. So in the middle of the night, and you don't really want to keep moving, you just I've learned how to move and go at the same time. So you just go. So it's not as hard as what you think it is. The hardest thing was
go. So we're not talking about a catheter and it's coming out the leg.
No. I've actually perfected, and I don't mean to brag on radio, but I've perfected, I did a 7:30 pace while while using the restroom recently, and that was I was
That's
pretty
impressive.
I was pretty impressed with myself at that point. Yeah, so
that's crazy.
yeah, and so it's you learn that's a little different in
7:30 pace for me is a dead sprint.
Yeah, well, so and I used the restroom while I was doing that, so I was
not on your leg,
not on my leg. I mean, clean as a whistle. So I was
it's just enormous. It's like this long. It's got it.
I'll rub a sub 8-minute mile, and then I'm like, my heart rate's like 120, and I'm just about to die.
So the last 4 miles of this race, I was trying to catch. She was in third place at that time. So there's a 4-mile stretch. You turn left, and there's a 4-mile stretch, and you can see all the way down. So I knew I needed to catch her. I didn't care who it was. I didn't care her, whatever. I wanted to catch that blinky that I'd been chasing for 16 miles. So I turned the corner.
And you finally get there and you go, damn it was a lady.
Yeah, exactly. That was kind of sucked. I was kind of hoping it was
count.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping it was one of the guys. But so I've been chasing this blinky for 16 miles. I turned the corner. I had the guy that I had passed, kind of closing in on me. So I turned and just took off. And I'm doing, I think the inReach said 6.7 miles an hour. So right at a 9-minute pace, pulling a 40-pound sled in the snow after 75 miles. And like, it was one of those moments where I'm like, man, this is okay. And my wife told me when I got back that I had hit 6.7 miles an hour on the inReach. And I was like, I was moving for what I was doing. I was moving.
Yeah. I knew at that point, I was checking. I checked the inReach before I went to bed. And I was like, he's moving. And I checked like 3 in a row and it's dead. And then I looked at right before and like D's like, he's almost done. I check. I'm like, Jeff sped up. I'm like, Jeff's got something left. I was like, good for Jeff. I'm like, he was probably trying to survive the night. And now it's like, oh, the sun's up. Let's go.
Yeah. It was that 4 mile and I needed to just get it done. I was ready. So.
Downshift to pass, Zach.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I kept
16 miles chasing a blinky light would drive me up the wall. Hard.
Well, but it's kind of like you see it getting a little bit closer. Right. It gives you a little bit of a goal.
The biggest, hers didn't seem to be getting closer.
I bet that's the thing.
But the guys behind me was.
That's the thing. If you think about LEDs, though, LEDs are like, they're just like a ball of light. Yeah. And it probably, if you could see it from 16 miles, it still could only be like this big of a ball of light. So it's not going to get any bigger. And it's like, man, I can only imagine just seeing the light, though, because that's one thing you do when you run is you try to, if you're racing, you're trying to pick off the next person.
Right.
Because it gives you little goals to hit the next. And it's like, nothing personal against the other person, whatever, but you're just like, if I can just catch this person, then that's a goal. Especially if you're going 80 miles and the next thing is 20 miles away. You need something.
Well, when I left the Bobcat snowmobile, I went into that snowmobile club in 4th place. When I left, I was in 6th. So, go to win, I don't want to be in 6th place. So I had to pick people off. So as soon as I left there with coffee and soup, I was gone and passed people and then went to the next town and I could see 2 sets of blinky lights in front of me. And I was like, okay, I need to be there. And that was my focus for that next, it was 20 miles from that snowmobile club. About 16 miles to go, I saw both sets of blinky lights, and then I caught him with like 10 miles to go and caught her. I didn't catch her till the last 2 miles. I mean, and she was super cool.
I was going to say, did she say something when you
I had shared some miles with her earlier, and she's just a superhuman. I mean, when I passed her, I wanted to tell her, hey, I'm just trying to finish. And she's like, go get it, and gave me a fist bump and just told me to go. So, awesome. It was really cool. And that's the community. I mean, it's just like, it's so tight that it doesn't even matter. she was first female, whether she was 3rd overall or 4th overall. So it didn't matter to her that much.
Right. Do you know who David Goggins is?
I do.
So he is the reason I first heard about ultra marathons, and I kept saying it was the Moab 100, right. But it's actually called the Moab 240.
The 240, yeah. So, those 200-mile races are a different league.
I remember the reason that I ever heard about an ultra marathon and him talking about it was because I saw a video of his feet afterwards,
right? And
it was like made me gag.
Yeah, so my feet.
So that was what I was going to ask you about.
We don't need you to go full Aaron Rodgers.
Like, I want to know how your feet are with the snow like that.
So
like,
I didn't have
moisture.
I didn't have an issue. So even 2 years ago in the rain, I was concerned. 2 years ago in the rain, I did not change socks. I ended up changing socks at this race. I did not change socks. I used Merino wool socks. And I have Gore-Tex mid-high shoes that I wear. Oh, and 20 hours of rain. The guy next to me, when we got to the finish line, he took his shoes and socks off, and I saw his, and they were hamburger. And I looked at my wife and I said, I don't even want to take mine off. And I took them off, and they were perfect. And this race was the same way. When I did change socks at mile 60, my toes were a little purple. I think I had my shoes tied a little too tight for that section. So they were a little, discolored at that point, but I changed socks. They were cold. I changed socks, put on 2 pair of socks at that point, and went on. But I mean, no feet issues.
You're running in shoes, not boots?
Yeah. They're mid-high. They're a Hoka brand, Gore-Tex trail shoes is what they are. So they're not boots. They are running shoes. But
I think I've seen pictures of those.
Yeah. So being the Gore-Tex, they're the Gore-Tex is a little more closed toe. There's not as much mesh. So I stay warmer in those. It's what I used 2 years ago, and it worked well. I run in the same shoe in a low for trail running. So
is there a regulation for the amount of time that you have to sleep? Is there everyone has to break?
No, there's no breaks. There was no sleep. I only sat down for 15 minutes total in that. At 2 different stops, I sat down for 15 minutes total.
You didn't even need to get your sleeping bag out.
Yeah, no, there was no sleeping. There was nothing. The only reason they have you bring the sleeping bag is in case of emergency.
Okay.
So that's the only reason that gear is there, is just in case something happens and you have to.
You can't make it any farther. You need something.
You break your ankle and
you have to be able to stay warm because it's negative 20. I mean, literally, you can't stop. I mean, you can't stop and just sit there on the side of the trail and wait for somebody to pick you up because it may be an hour before somebody gets to you. So you have to be able to, stay alive.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's the only reason. Now, the 160-mile guys, they will bivvy. They will sleep. But
those are runners. Those are not skiers. They're running.
Yes, they are running. Miles. Now, we use the term running loosely. I mean, you're doing 15.
They're on foot.
They're on foot. That's mainly what they call them, is on foot. So there is the other distance is 160, ski bike and on foot. That guy, the winner, there was only 4 people that finished that race. So it was kind of nuts. I saw the 2 year ago winner coming in as I was going out. He looked pretty rough, and I know he's a tough guy.
So do they have an even longer course, or they go to the end and go back?
So they start at Rice Lake, go to Park Falls, and turn around and come back
all the way back.
Yeah, so it's totally different.
I feel like a bum when you only do half of what they do.
I don't know that race doing that.
I feel
out
like
and
you've
back.
done enough, Jeff.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm gonna do more on a winter
his wife
ultra,
would agree.
Yeah, she's like, you can't, because I almost switched to the 160 2 months ago, and she's like, just stay at the 80 and try to win it. She's like, please, just stay at the 80.
Is that what you think you want to do? Try to win the 80 and then think about
and then maybe move on. I don't know. I don't know if I'll do it. I don't know if it's something I'll do every year or not. I think maybe my next goal would be the Arrowhead 135, which is farther north up in International Falls, Minnesota. I think.
That's a good intermediate. I would say.
Yeah, I mean it's 135. It's still 55 miles more than what I did, but
it's not double.
Right, it's not double. Yeah. So, and it's it's a little farther north, so it's a little colder, but whatever.
Give that a shot before you. Yeah, and the thing about the 160 here that would suck is that the scenery would just be all the same going back.
I think that's the hardest thing that I would process is you literally. I've just seen all this, and now I'm going to turn around and come back.
Yeah.
I mean, out and backs in Newcastle suck. I mean, I can't imagine 160 miles.
Out and backs suck.
Right. I don't care where it's at. Out and backs suck. So that's kind of why I don't have the 160 on my radar. But I can't say I'm not going to do it.
So one last thing. What was your official time?
21 hours, 51 minutes.
So you improved by
yes, I did. Nearly an hour. Almost an hour. Yeah, I did improve. Still not as quick as I wanted to be, but the winners were 1917 and 1952 or 1951.
Oh, they were right with each other.
Yeah, they were right there, and they were both strong. They were both great guys and both really strong.
Would there be a benefit of like doing squats and calf raises and?
Yes.
Would you like Dakota to train you?
I would like a personal trainer.
Well, here's the only reason I say that is because you think of, if you think of a bodybuilder, then you think of the only cardio they do is taking walks and going on a bike ride.
Right.
And you don't think of runners lifting weights.
Right.
So I'm wondering if for the long races, if having really strong quads and calves is going to be a benefit.
It is. And I don't lift, but I mean, I do feel like I have decently sized calves and quads for, you know what I mean?
Kind of have to.
Yeah. So, and a lot of these guys that train with their sled, they train with their sled. They pull a tire, they train with their sled. I didn't have the luxury to pull my sled.
It was 60 degrees here before.
Yeah,
that.
I didn't have the luxury to pull my sled, and I got
a harness we can strap you to a car.
Yeah, see, I mean, we could do that kind of.
Get your radio flyer with some brakes on it.
And I thought about putting wheels on my sled and just going to the Greenway and trying it, but I just never got to that. I figured I didn't pull it last year. There's probably some benefit to it. A lot of those guys are fast walkers, and they've learned to walk fast with their sled, where I wasn't as fast. I did more running. You know, I knew I was competent in my running. So,
what is your rig to get the sled hooked up?
I have it's really pretty simple. I think it's an LL Bean hip pack, fanny pack, whatever you want to call it. And my wife actually just sewed loops on the side of it. And then I have paracord that runs to the sled itself. So 6 feet of paracord with carabiners on it. So I have a carabiner at each end. And then I use some PVC pipe to kind of keep the sled from
twisting up.
Yeah, getting close to me. So a lot of people run without the PVC pipe on the paracord.
It's risky business.
Yeah, so the winners didn't have theirs. They had shorter cords than I did, but there's a lot of people that do have it. So it's what I've ran for 2 years. It works for me. So
is that like standard with the sled? Is that it's all that weight is around the waist, or is there? I would think that there would be a benefit to having a weight distribution up the shoulders.
I think they do sell some shoulder strap stuff, but if you look on there's actually companies out there that sell stuff. Most of it is hip related, so most of it is low in the hip. Mine comes a little farther in the front and maybe is a little higher than some of the the store bought stuff.
Okay,
but I did it myself. My wife sewed the loops on for me. So
I wonder if the thought would be that your posture changing.
I think that's what it is with the shoulder
causing
harness.
Pressure on the lower back. Maybe
it doesn't. With the lower, it doesn't really change my gait any. It doesn't change how I run. Where I feel like if it was up higher, it would.
Yeah, it might.
So it's worked for me, and that's kind of what I studied before I did it 2 years ago. Was what everybody else was using. So,
well, very good. Well, we'll transition into our final thoughts segment of the program, where everybody gets a chance to clean stuff up. Mason, are you awake over there? Are you watching the basketball wrap up? He's got nothing. He's gone into full Chris Guffey producer mode over there, and he's checked out. Zach, what do you got for me?
And nothing.
Yeah,
stay warm out there. I felt bad today because I was like, I did not want to run today. I'm like, man, it's like 17 degrees. I'm like, I can't complain in the running group though. Jeff just did 80 miles when it was 20 degrees below. I'm like, he's ruined this for the rest of the winter, at least until it's a distant memory of us complaining about it. But I've got nothing else.
I do have something. I'm excited to enter the workforce again, starting Monday, I suppose, after a 3-week break. Sabbatical against working.
Retirement.
So it was an awesome 3 weeks. Wouldn't change anything about it. Slept till about 3 every day. It's been great. So
you got to meet Doug Bowles over the weekend.
Yep. Yeah, Sunday at
the president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah, we went on the field after the game, and he just so happened to be in my path, so I stopped him and talked to him.
Zach wants to know if you got an update on infield camping for the music.
Well, he actually
Grand Prix.
gave me sweet tickets for the 500, and so I'll be looking at you guys dying from a heat stroke or whatever you guys do.
I'll be down on pit road before the race, man.
I'll be in my suite,
I get too hot, I'll just go back to my camper.
And then he invited me over for dinner with him and his wife next weekend, so I'll be over there.
Bullshit.
Jeff, I have one more question, actually.
Yes, sir.
And I think that this would be interesting.
I didn't realize this was going to be so much fun for Dakota.
Dakota's been suffering for months. Finally.
Yeah.
We're going to become friends on Facebook now. I'm good with that.
Your diet.
Yes.
How many beavers did you eat?
Yeah. Did you change it at all leading up to it?
So no, and my diet is not like one that any runner would probably go after. When I tell people what I eat, because everybody thinks that I'm healthy and eat super clean and all. I literally eat Pop-Tarts for breakfast every day.
You had Oreos on the trail.
I had Oreos on the trail. I mean, not that Pop-Tarts are super unhealthy, but I literally do not eat that well at all.
If you're having 80-mile weeks,
right,
you've got to eat some high calorie dense.
And that's the biggest. And what I've learned. So in my 10 years of running, so when I first started running, I didn't run in high school, none of that. So in my 10 years of running, I learned in the beginning, I was like, I tried to eat super clean and be healthy and all that. And I learned that I had more energy on pizza and hamburger weeks than I did on, other weeks. And I understand that, calories are calories, but I learned for me, my metabolism's fast, that it's easier for me to eat somewhat junk food.
Now, you're powered by bar food.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, yes. I mean,
you were built to go up there with the Wisconsin boys and have some spotted cow and then go out and run 80 miles.
Yeah,
I run with these two guys, and both of them are like, "Man, I'm trying to gain weight." I'm like, "Kiss my."
Yeah, that's. I mean, I honestly try to gain weight. I mean, my normal, if I get down below 150 in training, then I got to try to get back up. My ideal weight for me is like 152 to 155. So that's where I feel the best. I mean, weight I don't perpetuate anybody looking at the scale that much. But
that's why you have the extra beard weight.
Yes. So that helps.
That's a pound right there.
That's a pound right there. So
Rich Piano always said that everyone wants to have big muscles, but no one wants to eat until they almost throw up.
Yeah. It's the truth. I mean, I remember sitting down one night training for a marathon that I had like a 4,000 calorie meal. I mean, it's just, people don't do that in 3 days a lot of times.
Did your watch tell you how many calories you burn?
I don't. Yes, it does tell me how many I burn. I don't know what it said.
I'm gonna look because I had to run up.
Yeah, and it did. I did kind of screw up a little bit on my watch. I set it on a different setting.
8,081 calories.
I was going to guess 9,000 calories.
Yeah, and
it's usually about like 100 to 125. And if you're a lean runner, it's down to around 100 per mile. So
I didn't replace that many. I mean, I ate a fair amount of food, but I didn't replace that. But then the next day, I ate nonstop. I mean, I ate nonstop. And I've eaten nonstop since
cheese
then.
curds.
Your wife being a physical therapist has to help the after day recovery.
It
I'll
does.
Be honest though, that's a gamble.
It is
because
I'm with Zach 100%.
Because I don't even lie. His wife, I'm scared of her. I've been scared of her my whole life. I've known his wife.
I just got a text from my wife during the podcast that said, D. Watterson was a PT at her place of employment when I shadowed during high school, and she was the only one there that I actually liked being with.
Sweet.
Yes. So I've known his wife since like high school, and I met Jeff, I think his first 5K.
Yes.
And when I had back surgery, she was my PT, and she when I would go in there, she's like, "Oh, you're like." I was 20 at the time. She's like, I can have fun with you. So she just get a ball out, like the book of stability ball exercises. She's like, I've never seen somebody do this, do this, do this. And she's like, there's a sick part of her brain that likes to like push people. And so you have to watch what you tell her. Because if you give her too much information, if my Achilles hurts, she gets out a butter knife. You don't want to know what D will do with a butter knife.
It's scary. I've been there.
So Jeff, it hurts. It's like we've been running together, and Jeff's like, "Yeah, my ankle hurts." Like, but don't say anything, man. He's like, if D finds out, I'm in trouble.
I'm serious. I'll go 2 weeks with an injury before I say something to her because I know that she's going to have some.
Isn't that all physical therapists though? Don't they all have the reputation?
Yeah, but she doesn't like me. I think I don't know. She likes to torture me.
I don't cross her.
Yeah, I just let her.
I told her to her face. I'm like, you're on my list of people I'm scared of, and she enjoys it. She's like, good. She's fine with that.
She earned her spot.
So yeah. So
you have to be careful what you tell her. I mean, and I've learned a lot from her. That's my biggest take. Is I've learned listening to her, kind of what I can do.
Is she the one that told you not to use the Theragun?
No, nobody's told me not to use a Theragun.
Okay. I was worried because I like my Theragun.
No. I think Theraguns are great. I think Theraguns are great.
Is a physical therapist saying that not to use it?
No, I don't always follow what she tells me to do, and that's when she kind of gets upset with me when I do say, "Hey, this hurts." Well, I told you 6 months ago to be doing this, and I failed to do it. So then she.
Not following your own
then she gets the butter
program.
Yeah, then she gets the butter knife, and then it's bad.
Is there anything we need to clean up that, or we covered it? This is our final thoughts. This is where anything we forgot to promote, anything that we got terribly wrong, fact correction.
I think we're good. I guess one little bit of promoting. I do have a a company that's going to do a short little YouTube video on me about this. Caterpie's a shoelace company that not sponsored by any means, but they kind of took interest in this when I started using their product, and I was very happy with their product. And
what is it?
Caterpie, Catep.
It's like a shoelace that you don't have to tie.
Yeah, it's a no tie shoelace. I've used them on my last 2 races. I use it on this race, and not sitting here trying to promote them, but they are going to do a small piece, like a project that she's working on.
Promote
right now.
away, brother. We don't
the girl that's doing it is talking maybe a 9 or 10 minute YouTube video, kind of just documenting what I've done in the last month. So anybody that's interested can check into that.
I think you go full Forrest Gump and explain to everybody you finished 3rd place and got the bronze medal because of your Caterpie shoelace.
Exactly, just go right there. It was all
the ping
Caterpie.
pong championship.
Lean your puck up against your shoe with the laces directly and put the camera down there.
Well, there was some
I wouldn't
footage
have survived Wisconsin without my Caterpie. Yeah.
But yeah, so anybody that that's curious, hopefully within the next 2 or 3 weeks, she said she should have something, because I've been filming a lot of stuff in the last month, which is very rare for me. It's not something I normally do, is film myself for running. So
you didn't do this with a GoPro and a selfie stick running for 80 miles?
No, but my daughter, my 15-year-old, held the GoPro every time she saw me. So there's been a lot of GoPro footage that we.
Can you imagine though trying to tie your shoes when it's 20 degrees below zero?
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
that's
I thought
legit.
about that.
That's like
it
a thing.
is,
I wouldn't want
because
to do that.
I could adjust my shoestrings. Here again, not trying to go off on a rant about the company, but I could adjust my shoestrings with a tug, and they have little bumps on them. So there's a couple times I'd take my glove off, I'd adjust the tightness on my shoestring just by tugging, and then it would stay in place. So it was really nice in the cold temps that it could take.
Kept you from losing a toe?
It did. It kept me from losing a toe. So
I'll have 2 questions. How long was it before you knew who you were?
This race was actually
pretty good.
It was pretty good. Yeah.
Because I was at one of Jeff's first marathons. He stopped eating, and he didn't know who he was at the end. He didn't know who his wife was. His wife walked by him and didn't know who she was.
I walked right past her, looked in the eye, and said, "I know that."
I mean, and Dakota would understand that, like bodybuilders, if your body weight goes low enough and your blood sugar gets low enough, your brain stops functioning. Jeff's been there.
Yeah.
And then, how long were you sore?
So I am still a bit sore. Like my left calf is still a bit sore, but like walking funny. See, we got home Monday evening, and I struggled walking up and down the steps. So I'd been done for over, 36 hours or so. I'd been done, and I struggled walking up and down our steps at home. I didn't go back to work till Wednesday, and Tuesday I didn't do anything at the house. I mean, I laid around. So I still have some soreness in my left calf. Still a little tingling in my left toes. And it's been a while. So I'm still.
What about your nipples?
My nipples did good. So
really?
Again. This is the first time in the history of the show.
It's a big concern.
That Dakota's been able to ask this question.
They're
and
again not dropping a product, but I use this stuff called Vanacream from Wisconsin that they gave us a free sample of 2 years ago, and I used it and zero chafing. I mean, anywhere.
Wow,
I don't know how deep you want to ask about.
That's a legit question. I have a shirt that's got permanent bloodstains on it from a marathon.
Yeah, so
that's why I asked you.
Yeah, I
don't know.
I have a shirt.
I do.
I don't know when the last time I raced that shirt. Been like 5 years, but yeah, if I look at the shirts, there's blood still in the shirt.
Yeah, I was impressed with this product. It's actually just a heavy lotion that they use, but it's from Wisconsin area, and they gave us a free sample last time. Yeah, I mean it's great stuff. I used it. I actually bought a big tube of it that I use for running, and it's zero chafing. So I mean, after 80 miles in the cold, I was pretty happy with that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Any final thoughts from you, D Squared?
I had some. I wanted to say that the Beehive Body Company, I just now finished up with the first bar that she gave me. So it lasted a good while for a bar that size, for sure. And the scents are really good. I like her soap.
What flavor did you get on this last one? I mean, I'm going to ask her.
Right now I'm on the Maverick, which is what Zach got me for Christmas. But before that was the Rip.
Yeah, I don't know if she's still doing, but Leonidas or
she stopped doing that one. I think I'm going to get on her about that one.
Yeah, that was a good one. If you want to feel like a man,
she's got good stuff.
Yeah, she does.
The Rip is probably pretty close,
really,
because it's Rip from Yellowstone. That's like her inspiration on it.
I see.
Yeah, she makes good stuff. I wanted to give her a shout out. She gave me those 2 bars of soap that I got from her that I asked her for. I asked her to bring me 2 bars of soap, and then she's like, "No, you can have them for free." So I wanted to give her a shout out on the show and make sure that everyone knew that she made good stuff. And Then also my wife, Audrey, she's just launched a website for the cups that she makes. So check that out, thedaintydaisytumblers.com.
We've been following the Brandon Brown story now. This is the third week in a row we've had to talk about Brandon Brown, the NASCAR driver, the Xfinity Busch Grand National winner from Talladega last fall. He won the race, and then the Joe Biden, F Joe Biden, which became Let's Go Brandon, which became the whole thing. 3 weeks ago on the show, he wrote this open letter saying this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. The next week we do the show, and it's now there's a cryptocurrency in his name, and he's sponsored by it. And now this week, the story has advanced once again, Zach, and NASCAR says, no, your sponsor is invalid, unacceptable. We can't have it on the car. The team is pissed off and basically released a statement saying,
how can they be mad? How could they not see it coming?
They claim that they have an emailed approval from somebody in NASCAR, but somebody said that it's probably, what I'd heard is that it was not somebody who had the authority to tell them okay, and it might have been somebody who just said the livery looks okay. Yeah. Like the actual paint job looks okay, but and not the actual spot. Like they break those two things into two separate things. Is who's your sponsor? How does the car appear? And the livery there was nothing about the livery. It was red, white, and blue, patriotic, whatever. But then NASCAR, they don't want to touch any of that stuff. So the word is going to come out in the next couple of weeks that NASCAR is going to completely ban political sponsors entirely. Done. They'll be
probably not a bad idea.
There's no downside for them.
No,
there's zero
as long
downside
as there's
for
enough
them.
money in the sport. My statement last week was, it gets a car on the track. They're probably going to be gone after 4 races because they're not going to be able to pay the bills and it's going to fail. But at least they race for a little while. NASCAR doesn't care, and they don't care if this team dies or not.
No, these kind of teams are going to pull those kind of sponsors. Aren't the kind of teams that they're worried about. Like Joe Gibbs isn't going to be trying to get a political sponsor, and so it's going to be some fringe team trying to get in. So there's no downside for NASCAR. Zero.
So that's the end of that. I felt like we need to put a little bow tie on that. And Matt DiBenedetto, who embraced the Let's Go Brandon lifestyle, has gone from driving the 21 Wood Brothers / Penske Ford in the Cup Series to he's going to be driving a NASCAR truck for a roofing company this year. So this is, I think everybody's learning their lesson.
Yeah,
and just stay the hell out of it. You want to, if you're a team, you want to be successful enough so that everybody can cheer for you, and the politics don't help.
Yeah,
so motorsports and politics don't mix well, and I think we're learning that now. Michael Jordan had it right in the '90s when he said Republicans buy shoes too.
Yeah.
So, all right. With that, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll be back Thursday of next week, and stay safe. It's going to be like Jeff Watterson cold out there, so be careful.
Yeah.